Hello and welcome to another edition, the 11th edition of the Adventure Habit podcast. It's the podcast where Splash Maps go through their little books, a little black book of people who buy maps, people who should buy maps, and we go to them to find out from these fantastic adventurers their adventure habits that they'd like to pass on to you, our adventurous listeners. And I'm absolutely delighted today to have with me a fantastic adventurer. If you are interested in this, if you like what you hear today, please like, share and subscribe to whichever channel this goes out on. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, but you'll also find it on every social media platform. So the person that I've got in the hot seat today, I'm delighted to say, is Steve Martindale. And Steve Martindale is part of a phenomenal charity called Cockleshell Heroes CS22. And they are adept at walking in the footsteps of the heroes that fought in all the UK's wars in the 20th century. So Steve, a big hello to you.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me and the invite. It was
absolutely thrilled to have you here. I think it will come out in this conversation, but we've had a few touch points and just blown away by what you guys do. How about you start by giving us a quick introduction to Cockleshell Heroes CS22?
Yeah, sure. So we came about maybe 4 years ago now. I used to work with one of the directors, Matthew, in Iraq on a security contract for the British Embassy. He was local to Manchester, I was local to Manchester. We gelled and clicked in that respect. Became very good friends over the last 15 years. And about 4 years ago, just got a phone call to meet for a drink in Manchester and let's do something adventurous for a change. Daily life had got in the way of what we used to do in the military.
Yeah.
Went for a beer, sat down, there was 3 or 4 of us around the table, and we just threw around ideas of things we could do, which it wasn't a case of let's just go and do the Yorkshire Three Peaks or the National Three Peaks. We wanted something with a bit more heritage, with a bit more connection to our military past. This was in March or April time, and we realised that in that December was the 80th anniversary of Cockleshell Heroes, which is something that, coming from the Royal Marines, that's the background and the history of the Corps is instilled from you from day one. And when you do a couple of the trips to see the Padre, he puts a film on and you have a little sort of quiet time, and it only happens twice in training. And one of them was Cockleshell Heroes, the 1950s film. It was Trevor Howard and I can't remember the second person, but
very well spoken, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a moustache. Yeah. But we watched that and it just clicked. And every time it's on, I'd make a point to sit down and watch it. And the thought of putting something together on the waterway it blew me away. Done. Sign me
right. So you just chose probably one of the most arduous and challenging elite events that happened in the Second World War, with some quite significant impacts on the war as well, and actually your involvement with it led to so many other things as well. So just quickly, Cockleshell Heroes, just talk us through the campaign as it was in 1940.
So essentially Blondie Hasler came up with an idea. He was an avid outdoorsman, avid sailor, kayaker, and thought that a foldable, collapsible kayak, canvas and wood could slip undetected down the waterway. And at the time, you had the blockade runners that were running out of Bordeaux, the Germans. Now, essentially, they were running supplies to and from the Far East,
right,
bringing back raw materials to aid the war machine within Europe, rubber, munitions, steel, iron ore, that type of thing. And it was, what can we do to stop them? And this audacious attack was put in place and put together and brought with, how did they phrase it? Volunteers for arduous service. Call went out across the military and the Royal Marines. and people came back, and he
Don't
whittled
expect to
it
come
down
home
to
sort of stuff.
very much
Yeah.
so. Yeah, he whittled it down to a small group of 12, and then from that 10 launched on the raid, and essentially over 4 days kayaked down the River Gironde to Bordeaux, laying up overnight in the reeds and the bushes and hiding from the German sentries, to then attack Bordeaux on the evening, escape undetected. Whilst they were escaping, the charges went off. The whole world went into an absolute shambolic chaos, and the guys then had to escape overland. Now, whilst all this was happening from the minute they launched, the minute they got to Bordeaux, only two of them made it out alive.
Yeah.
So on the first night, they lost a kayak, and two of the guys succumbed to hypothermia. On the second night, a couple more were lost. On the third, a couple more, and it just, the numbers were dropping and dropping and dropping. The call sign was split. They didn't know who was where, and it was only on the last approach into Bordeaux that they came back together, and they realised there's four of them. So two attacked one side, two attacked the other, and they then split off and made their escape.
Mm.
The other pair was captured, and Sparks and Hasler were the only two that survived. So
I mean, it's a phenomenal thing in that the alternative was to fly over with bombers, and there was no way that could happen because there was no. I mean, Germans had complete air superiority, I
yeah,
guess,
yeah.
and there's no way you could get a bomber in there. So this crazy idea of popping up in a submarine, popping out this new invented canoe, and then five or six. How many? Well, there were 10 people, weren't there? But
Well, yeah, 12 started, but they damaged the kayak exiting HMS
oh,
June,
that was
so
right. Yeah.
only 10 ended up on the water.
But
Um,
it's such a specific way. But then when you see the beauty of the thing and the success of it was actually, I mean, spoiler alert. I mean, okay, I'm not going to go for the spoiler alert. Watch what Steve
Commando
and his
Machine.
team have put on
Yeah.
what the History Channel, is it
Yeah,
on Sky?
yeah. So when we completed it, and we were at the Pier 14, I think it is, in Bordeaux, this crazy French woman come running up, handed a business card out. I need to film this. This is amazing. And at the time, we were battling the current, the tide that was whipping us away. Luckily, one of the guys grabbed her business card, and we had a conversation with her the following day.
Hmm.
Um, and that conversation led to us being involved in some filming with the French TV company Galaxy Press, and going back over to Bordeaux to recreate authentically Second World War Dad's Army clothing, filming aboard submarines,
Yeah.
recreating the footage.
And it
And
is such a plush production. I mean,
oh, it looks
congratulations
amazing.
to you
Yeah.
and everybody else in that, in that production company. Because I mean, I was lucky enough to be invited by you, of course,
Mm,
to the premiere of it, which is at a beautiful little cinema that I didn't really know
no, you
existed,
didn't.
right outside the Natural History Museum, and it was such a fabulous occasion. And you invited along so many
Mm.
amazing veterans of the Falklands, of campaigns that you've been involved with in Iraq and
Yeah, yeah.
Afghanistan,
It
etc.
was a ragtag bunch, as some would say.
Yeah, but
Um,
for someone like me coming from Civvy Street and then sitting in there with you guys, learning a great bit of history in such an entertaining fashion in such a fabulous
mm.
place, just a phenomenal day, off the scale for me.
Yeah, we were lucky. So we've through the recreation and through um, our links into various military organisations, we managed to get connected to David Moffat, who is the great nephew of Marine David Moffat, who was one of the first guys to obviously succumb to hypothermia and was killed. But to meet with the family, to talk with the family, and realise how much it resonates with them, it's you can't put a price on it. It's
Well,
phenomenal.
once they'd understood how he contributes, I bet
Yeah.
your film actually consolidated that in their minds
Yeah,
as well.
we're actually hopefully, fingers crossed, working with the family still. They've got a few more pounds to raise.
And did I hear something a few minutes
Memorial
ago about a season two as well of this? And how can
in the
people?
pipeline. It's in the pipe.
It's in the pipeline.
We're
Okay,
gonna
I'll
we're gonna help with it from a military technical perspective, because
yeah.
we realised once we'd watched the first couple of screens shots that the way they hold the weapon or the way they patrolled or the way they maneuvered wasn't authentic. So we took them back to bare bones, give them a quick few hours of military bearing and standards and a weapon handling, and hopefully that came across that it looks a lot more authentic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's certainly very gritty and it's certainly very
Mm.
real. And so, how can people watch that first series?
I think it's still running on Sky History Channel. Sorry, not the History Channel, Sky History Channel.
Sky History
Um,
Channel, people. So,
if not, it's not on there. It's just do a search for Commando Missions. There's 4 parts to the season. We're involved in episode 2 and episode 3. So 2
fantastic.
was the Frankton mission, and 3 was Norway for Op Gunnerside and Op. Yeah,
Brilliant. And of course, we know well the telemark campaign
mm.
as you were kind enough to follow our maps on that particular one.
Brilliant bit of
And
kit.
thank you very much. Yeah, we always like to get them used in more extreme conditions, and you seem to be heading out that way. So
Yeah,
just use them when you can. And of course the Falklands, and
mm.
the Falklands. We're coming up. We're a couple of years off the 45-year anniversary of
Yeah,
that, which I think makes all of us feel quite old, actually.
yeah.
um,
Of course.
I can't believe it's that long ago, and I just still remember the excitement being a small boy and watching that stuff happening just on the news, the snippets that we heard. But to meet people at the premiere who'd been there, who'd actually been involved in that action, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Um,
it was just a case of one of the guys on the trip constantly going on. He'd love to do Pebble Island, love to do Pebble Island, and what we say within CS22 as a group is, if you've got an idea, we will support you wholeheartedly, but we're trying to empower each member to run whatever they want to do. So
yeah,
I kept, one of the guys mentioned Telemark, we've ran with that. Tom mentioned Pebble Island. The weight of the machinery of what we've got as a group and the collaborative effort by everybody, we throw that behind. And he pulled together a phenomenal team of
mm,
Falklands veterans to go back down. And bear in mind, these guys are in the 60s, early 70s. He put together a year's training plan. Pretty much every weekend they were on the water during the, when it wasn't too audacious with the weather.
mm,
And he got them from zero to hero. Got connections down on the island, flights, everything was coordinated, and to get a group that far away from the mainland, from the UK, and control it. And bear in mind, when Tom got down there, he broke his arm within the first couple of days, so
yeah,
it was complete re-roll of tasks of jobs of hierarchy because he wasn't on the water to make the call.
yeah, yeah.
So as
Phenomenal.
everybody does in the military, you adapt, you improvise, and you overcome.
Yeah, well, I like that. Although you might be preempting your adventure habits here, I'm detecting. But let's come on to that in just a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think for the Falkland stuff, we are getting people have been contacting us since to ask for the historic maps of the Falklands, and what we've
Brilliant.
discovered is there weren't very good maps. In fact, I even learned the other day that um, some guy that some guy in the Navy had actually gone around mapping personally because he was a bit of a sailor himself. So he went around mapping the fjords, and he sort of said to the admiral or whatever, "Oh, would you like my map that I've made of the whole area?" "Oh no, bugger off," was basically the
Yeah,
response he got.
which
And
is pretty much the Navy's mentality there, isn't it?
until the thing happens, they realise all they've got is school kid atlas type Falklands things based on something from the 19th century, and
They
so
probably didn't envisage it as it being a tactical advantage to have something like that.
yeah,
Before the Falklands, it was not really a big
uh, didn't feature
location
much.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was a UK offshore territory, but it wasn't half as protected as what it is now. Hence why the Argentinians got there so quick and
yeah,
took it so easy. There was literally a garrison of Royal Marines down there, 30 blokes,
yeah.
40 blokes tops.
Well, so if people are interested in a map of the Falklands, get in touch with us. There isn't one on Splash Maps at the moment, but there is one that we've designed with Steve, and it might be that one or one of the historic ones that we've been able to get our hands on. But making that publicly available would certainly make me very happy, and probably a good number of the people that went with you as well. Okay, Steve. I mean, is there? We're going to move on to the adventure habits now, and I hope you've got 5 prepared. This is what people come here for.
Yeah.
What is your first adventure habit that you'd give to our listeners?
Make it achievable. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't. From running these expeditions, things can get very complicated very quickly. So we tend to find that the best laid plans are the simplest. And for me, if I was going out on the hills, or when a group of us were going for mountain leaders at the minute, it can get very complicated with everybody's ideas and opinions. Keep it simple. Just spend a day in the hills. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Put some sandwiches in a rucksack, flask, some clothing, and just go and enjoy it and get out there. There's no better leveler, really.
Yeah, I like that one. There's almost like I think it's a Buddhist saying or something like that. If the path ahead is so clear, why are you throwing rocks in your own path?
Very much so. I like that. I'm going to
Yeah.
remember that one. But yeah, it's true. It really is.
So you can get a Buddhist recommendation from me there to your to your adventure habit. That's brilliant. Well, keeping it simple. I think a lot of us have trouble with that. Even talking with my business partner today, I got partway through the thing, and I said to him, Ian, am I just making this more complicated than it needs
Yeah.
to be? And he goes, yes,
We
actually.
do. It's what we do. Western world, we just overcomplicate things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because there's so many, we believe we've got all these options. And actually, sometimes the one option is the best.
Yeah, very much so. It's, just go out, and you don't have to overthink the hill, the mountain, the path, the moor, whatever you're out on. Just go out and enjoy it.
Fantastic.
Obviously,
Okay.
with a splash map in your back pocket.
Obviously, with a splash map in the back pocket, that helps all plans come together properly. Okay. Okay. But you can't have the splash map as your habit number 2. What would be your habit number 2?
For me, it would be try to do something daily. Try to make the time for yourself. Again, modern life and everything gets in the way, and we always put off. Oh, we'll do it next week, or we'll do it next month, or we'll plan for this. Don't put off what you can do today, because there's a few things that have happened in my personal life and others within the group, and you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So seize the day. Just get out there and do it, because CS22 came about primarily to get guys back together and girls back together, ex-military back together. But it also came about because we're sick of going to funerals.
Right.
And there's a lot of suicide within the former military community. And if you can make it through the day, get through the night, there'll always be somebody on the end of the phone. And a few people I've spoken to, there's other organisations and groups out there, and I speak to their leadership teams, and they're, if it's a one-man band and he's just on Instagram pushing it out far and wide, his mantra is if you can make it through the night. So just get out there and enjoy the day, because by being in the outdoors, going for a run, going for a walk, you get the chemicals firing, the dopamine, everything just feels better when you come back. Your head's clearer. If you've been for a walk and a talk with somebody, you've got an idea and a solution to a problem that's presented. You can always just come off the back end of it in a better place.
And it's that attitude that actually was the germ of CS22 in the first place, from the way you described it earlier. Just got together with friends, wanted to go a bit further than Three Peaks or whatever, and then it kind of, once you put it out there, it mushrooms, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really, really does. I mean, we started with 10 or 15 of us, borrowed some vans, borrowed some kayaks. The kayaks were actually then taken from us by the Ukrainian Special Forces because they're from Ukraine. They're a Ukrainian brand, Neris, that we use. They were taken by the Ukrainian military because of everything that was happening over there in the early days. So it was touch and go that we could actually get them in time, which we managed to do. But yeah, it was literally by hook or by crook that it happened. And now we're up to 30 to 40 people within the group, and it's a drift in, drift out. You know, you can be away for 2 or 3 years, you can be away for 2 or 3 weeks, you come back in, the banter's still the same, the chat's still the same, and you're welcome back into any of all opportunities that we've got going to come and take part.
So
we just want to do things with people.
Hello, Fido. So is that an important part of CS22 then? You're actively helping people not to go into the dark places.
Yeah, it wasn't an intention by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very important sort of afterthought. I mean, we just wanted to get people back together and do adventurous activities like we used to do in the military when we were younger. Go away once a year, twice a year, and do AT. If we can do that for blokes with bad knees, bad backs, and 30 to 50-year-old, or even older, or even younger, it doesn't. That's the thing. The veteran community.
Yeah.
People think old and wrinkly, dad's army. It's not. You've got veterans who are 25. You've got veterans who are 65. If we can bridge the gap from A to Z,
yeah,
and just come and join us, just come and get involved,
and so how do people get involved with you, Steve? We'd bring that out at this point, but I'll put a link underneath, of course.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we've got LinkedIn page, we're pretty much everywhere on social media. I've not got TikTok yet, but I'll work on that.
So yeah, extremely approachable as well. And so if you want a big adventure,
just drop us a message, drop us a note, and everyone does off the back of a post, off the back of a comment. That's 90% of how people have drifted into the group is just through word of mouth, and that looks good. How can I get involved?
Yeah, superb. Well, that brings us to, so that's do something daily for yourself. That's great. What's your third habit, Steve?
Keep it simple, stupid. As I said, at the beginning, we overcomplicate events, items, meetings, whatever. Just if we can keep it simple, keep it constant, daily, and at the same time being safe. So couple with that with a little bit of knowledge. Going out and doing a 1-day first aid course, going out and doing a little bit of nav with somebody who maybe is a little bit better than you, or going out and just getting the map and compass out again. There's nothing to fear with being retaught. I was out the other week with a couple of older gentlemen who, through mountain rescue, and I thought, run rings around these, not a problem. And they, as soon as the map and compass came out, they were absolutely, they were Gandalf level of masters.
Right. Yeah.
Spotting so much more features within the contours, within the ground, picking out lichen, picking out moss, picking out all the flora and the fauna. And I thought, that's where I need to be now.
Oh, so all the natural navigation stuff as well as the map stuff.
Just keep it simple, stupid. Try and get out daily and educate yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
I think from that there's a lot to be gained by just going on YouTube and watching, some of the naturalists who get out there. They've a lot to, as much as from a military background, you might think you're the alpha male and I know this, but just take it all in. Don't be ashamed.
It's kind of like a daily learning practice.
If you can, yeah. Again, the weekend we're doing some steep ground training, alpine butterflies, how to descend down, and more from a mountain rescue perspective, but how would we lower an individual down? And it was all very informal. But halfway down a descent, one of the guys, was it pixie lichen? Because it tiny, looks like a pixie cup, looks like a goblet. I didn't know that, but I do now.
Okay, that didn't cause enough distraction that the person that was halfway down the thing.
No, it was an empty stretcher, but no, it was, learn off people who know more than you. Don't be ashamed to ask.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, just as are you mountain rescue yourself?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
are.
So
Okay. Whereabouts?
Bolton
In Bolton.
in the Mid Pennine region. Yeah,
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. I used to visit Bolton quite a lot when I was younger. And
it
it's
changed.
yeah, I've heard that it's changed quite a lot. But I used to love heading up onto the moors out there, and yeah, I guess probably I'd put that down as one of the places that got me used to the outdoors. I had my uncle up there was much more into adventure than my parents,
Mm.
and oh, let's go for a stroll on the moors, and it's like bloody hell, this
Yeah.
place is bleak and it's big and it's yeah, and you have to know those fundamentals to get going. Great,
Mm.
great. I
And
had no
yeah,
idea.
it was a good eye opener.
Yeah,
I need to learn more.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Right. So, okay, so we've got keeping it simple and achievable. We've got do something daily for yourself. There was a bit of training thrown in there as well, but
Yeah.
I'm keeping that within the three and pushing you for a fourth habit now. What can we share?
Um, One that's resonated with me. I don't know if it's a habit per se, but I was speaking to a guy, former military veteran, who started this online following by simply just getting lads back together and having a coffee in the woods.
Mm.
Nothing more. Once a month, just going for a flask of coffee, set up a little sort of semicircle of logs, and
I
just
call
talking.
coffee a habit.
Yeah, just a really good coffee habit that.
Yeah.
And that's how he started that, and this following has grown, and he's pushing it out, and it's for adventurous far and wide, not specifically in the military, but adventurous far and wide across the globe, and it all started from having a coffee.
Yeah.
So
And that's grown. That's a big thing now, is it?
yeah, I mean he's doing great. So again, it's just not overcome. Set these habits and these routines of connecting back with people you've not spoken to for a couple of weeks, months, years,
Hmm.
um, and get out into the outdoors and just even if it is as simple as going for a coffee in the outdoors. One of the guys in the team has an American pickup truck. He's got an old ammunition tin on the back, and he's always got teas, coffees, and a flask of hot water on the go and a jet boil.
Yeah.
So he would literally just pull over if he's out and about. He lives up in Cumbria. If he's out and about and it's side of one of the lakes or stream or river, pulls over, has a coffee, and just appreciates it. Don't
That's
don't don't pass things by.
yeah, 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 yeah. Savor them while you can, really.
Very much so, yeah, mate.
Okay, and we're on to the last one. We're at five already. Can you believe it? So
Wow.
that was the coffee habit. You've had keep it simple, do something daily in your life, and yeah, keep it simple and get yourself trained on YouTube, etc.
Mm. Yeah. I'd say more from a personal perspective is try to see what's in your local area. Coming from Mountain Rescue, we are very, everybody's in and around Bolton. We look after the people in the borough of Bolton and far and wide to sort of Greater Manchester. Don't, and again, this probably goes back to overcomplicating it. We think, what to do something big. I've got to look to these national brands or these national companies. But yet, in your own community, there's probably other individuals who are desperate for the same sort of connection that you're looking for, or you're putting together,
Hmm.
or they might germinate an idea with you. But don't be afraid of just keeping it local.
Yeah, I mean there is I know in my particular case, we're a brand that sells around the world, etc. And I'm often thinking, well, therefore our focus is around the world.
Mm,
Whereas in actual fact, there's always stuff you can do in your own backyard, which is going to
yeah.
help people along and be way more effective than attempting to do something on the Camino or something like that. And it's yeah, so yeah, we find ourselves getting involved in local charity bike rides and things like that, and
Mm.
sponsoring various things. Um,
Yeah, I'm
but
seeing a lot more, especially on Facebook and Insta. It's a lot more um, sort of rapid to get the word out, and there's a lot of local walking groups that pop up. And me and my partner Jamie, we were out on the moors back end of last winter. And we're getting a quick coffee, and this Asian couple were chatting to us and just said, how do we get out more? Is there anybody? I said, but there's local walking groups, and if that 5 minute conversation that empowered that couple to go, yeah, I think they're in the 50s to 60s, but and from the clothing they're wearing, not very adapted to being outdoors. But
Yeah.
that quick 2 minute conversation led to them then engaging with the local walking group and getting out. It's phenomenal.
And there's
The power of
plenty of
just
them around wherever you
communication,
are.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
And don't support your local outdoor groups, your local mountain rescues, your local Cubs, because they're the future. Cubs and cadets. I used to teach with Marine cadets. They're the future of the outdoor industry. If
yeah.
you can impart your passion for it, as what happened with me when I was in the Marine cadets as a kid, we were up the lakes maybe once a month, once every few weeks within the summertime period, doing our Duke of Edinburgh's. And the officer, the gentleman who ran it, Dave Hithersey, his knowledge was just off the charts. For us as kids, it was like, we're going to go up Cat Bells, but he'd explain every step of it, or we're going to go here, and he'd know everything intricately. And that passion it got imparted to me, and it's stayed with me for till now. And it, by me imparting it back into the kids when I was teaching at cadets, they're the future. So
They are. Yeah.
help
Yeah.
your local organisations.
And it's great to see. I mean, there's a good proportion of veterans that do actually come back and go into scouts because of my work that I've done in the past with scouts. And I see quite a lot of them coming through. And normally, the chief scout is someone with a military background, and the same goes for the cadets. We've got Jordan Wiley, I think, is the chief cadet, and he's done some paddling stuff with us as well as some paddling stuff. I'm playing that a bit small now. He attempted to paddle around Great Britain on a stand-up board.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, the whole thing's with the scouts. So it was more. My grandfather was Cub Scout from a young age to the day he died. And at his funeral, the padre who was taking it, they served in the war together in the I think it was the RAF, and he was talking on how my granddad brought the scout movement to the Middle East, to Egypt, to North Africa, through his service in the military and during the war. And I was stood there in my Marines uniform, and I'd never had this conversation with my granddad. So it was humbling to hear that how much it influenced the Cub Scout movement worldwide.
And you probably learned more from
in England at the time when he died.
Yeah. So he probably shared more about the war experiences and the things that he'd imparted, maybe his habits as well.
Yeah, he'd always
association.
regale with sort of stories from the war as much as an RAF cook can impart stories during the war, but that military service got instilled in me, and I just wish I'd managed to sit down with him more before he passed, but it is what it is.
Well, I think the habits that you've given us, they're all about keeping things simple, staying connected, and all that sort of stuff. Just to run through them quickly, it's keep it achievable. Whatever mission you're going on, do something daily for yourself. So that's every single day, people. Do something for yourself. Don't get caught up in the humdrum. And then keep things simple. Get sometimes keeping things simple does mean you have to learn about stuff as well, so you can do it more simply the next time. And that's where
bit of education doesn't go amiss.
Yeah, bit of education never goes amiss. The coffee habit, yep, I've got a bit of one of those myself. But again, that's about connecting and finding a way to meet people on their level, I guess. And then try to see what's in the local area, your local walking group, etc. If there's not a local walking group, then there's plenty of institutions that will support you if you start one up.
It's the simplest way, and I guarantee there's people in your local area dying for it. If there's not one there, and it takes nothing, it's cashless. You don't need anything. You just need an RV point,
Yeah.
and there's plenty of routes on Google, on the OS mapping system. There's somebody's out. There's apps galore that you can just find a local route that somebody's already pre-recce for you. So just go and follow the breadcrumb trail and
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
it.
While we're on the subject, listeners, we are we have a partnership with BMC, so that's the British Mountaineering Council, and that starts on the 20th of June. I should imagine you probably get Summit Magazine, Steve, through your
Yeah,
mountaineering and
yeah,
stuff. So that's going to be in there, and if you are a member of the BMC, you'll get the biggest discount that we're giving this year to any institution. But for exactly that reason, Steve, we really believe in people taking on the responsibility of volunteering, getting out and discovering stuff in their own area, or training people up and how to see the absolutely gorgeous, fabulous stuff that they've got in their area. And I
yeah.
know Bolton will have
Your
changed quite a
your
bit, but
back
there was some
garden
great
and
stuff.
further afield is there's so much that we take for granted and we get a bit blasé with it being in England and we think, oh, it's got to be the Alps or it's got to be Dolomites or it's got to be wherever. It doesn't.
Or
Get
it's
it
got to
out
be
in the
wall to
woods.
wall sunshine. And I
It
just
doesn't.
think,
Yeah, just
no, it
get
doesn't.
out on your local moors, on your local
Yeah.
hinterland, and just enjoy it. You know, watch the sunset, watch it rise, take
Yeah.
a coffee, and I guarantee you'll come back in a better space.
That's a brilliant way to round this up, Steve. Steve, it's been such a pleasure working with you for the few years that we have, and such an honour to actually have you on the show following that fantastic premiere just a few weeks ago. I wish you and the team the best of luck. I know there's going to be many more adventures. Please stay in touch with Steve. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. We'll put the links underneath it as well, so people can join in these fantastic CS22 adventures. And yeah, if you want to catch up with what's happening next with Steve, well, why not join our mailing list? After all, you could win a fabric map at the end of this month. So why not jump in now? Okay, Steve, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, David.
See you soon.